Okay. Well, welcome everyone, and welcome. I think everyone that's here in person was also on the tour, if I'm right. It's all familiar faces. Hopefully some of you were online, were able to watch our video tour. If not, Sarah's, I think, sent a QR code to be able to watch that at another time. So you can just kind of see the facilities that we have here at the Spur campus in the Water Technology Accelerator platform lab. I am Sybil Charvel. I'm a professor at Colorado State University, but also technical director of the Water Technology Accelerator platform lab. Introducing myself again because we have new people who've joined online. So with that, we're going to keep introductions pretty short here, but Mazdak, if you want to introduce yourself.
Sure thing. Hello, everybody. My name is Mazdak Arabi. I'm also with the Civil and Environmental Engineering at CSU, and I serve as the director of the OneWater Solutions Institute, and I know at least 50% of it. So good to see you guys. Thank you for coming and taking the tour for those who are attending in person, and for those who are online. Good to meet you. So do that.
Hi, my name is Judah Gayoni. I am the director of the Colorado Stormwater Center. We work on, with Civil in part doing research associated with the stormwater aspects of the water tap. And then we host a series of trainings for professionals, engineering, for stormwater control measures, or as we call them, water treatment in the wild, where you don't have an operator responsible charge and gravity does all the work. We do like a design review, operations inspections, maintenance classes, MS4 compliance, things like that.
Sarah, great.
Hello, everyone. Oh, I'm sorry. Multitasking here.
Judah got that, Sarah.
Hi, everyone. Y'all have met me already, but to those online, hello, my name is Sarah Milanek. I'm Associate Director for the OneWater Solutions Institute, handle a lot of our communications, operations, and am here to make collaboration easy for everyone.
And we also have downstairs, getting more people potentially, is Champ. Real name is John. He goes by Champ, who helps us out with kind of all things. So with that, Mazdak's going to tell us a little bit about the OneWater Solutions Institute that houses all of this activity.
My name is Mazdak, but call me Buck.
He wants to be a cowboy.
I just cannot pull it up. So, well, again, great meeting you all. Thank you for coming here to discuss the OneWater Solutions Institute and specifically the water tap. I have to really acknowledge that the water tap is the success of water tap so far, to a large extent, is due to the efforts that Civil has put in with the passion and effort and energy and innovation. Also, all of the things that Sarah continues doing with connecting with the partners and everybody. So we really appreciate the work that they do. Again, I serve as the director of the OneWater Solutions Institute. We thought that perhaps we start with a little background about the institute and what we do and what motivated us to get going, and then be more specific about the water tap. Approximately a decade ago, we got started with a lot of projects that are, we may call them integrated water resource problems that encompasses perhaps many sectors, many partners, many institutions. And in the beginning, we were doing a lot of research that involved many institutions, so multi-institutional kind of work, and thinking about multi-sectoral approaches to managing limited water systems or water sources and systems. And this is primarily the impetus for these integrated approaches. Often are because whether aging infrastructure is a reason to think about new approaches for water systems and water resources. In some areas, obviously, because of climate change, changes in population, land use, or recently with the pandemics, we are learning that our traditional approaches to water resource management may not be adequate. Obviously, we still need these system-specific approaches to drinking water, stormwater, and wastewater systems, and even with the water reclamation efforts that are ongoing. Our focus is really how to reconcile these systems in a way that we increase efficiency and lower costs, but at the same time, we improve resiliency of the system, resiliency to changes. As I mentioned, perhaps some of the most immediate concerns that we work with communities are around climate change or land use change. And in our area, obviously, wildfires are significant issues, so issues that bring these concepts together. So the focus of the One Water Solutions Institute is on technologies that kind of move us from this extractive model of water resource management, where when we take water, use it, and then return waste into whether it's water systems or back to the environment, to a more resource management model. That we see water as a resource that we have to protect, not only keep it for ourselves, but also for our future, and treat it in that fashion. So this concept has been referred to as water-sensitive growth or design, integrated water resource management, and recently people refer to it as the One Water approach. Again, multiple systems, many stakeholders and groups, and integrated management concepts embedded in that. So in that sense, we are very interested in systems that foster resource recovery, water reuse. Green infrastructure is a great example of how land use planning is related to water systems, whether it's stormwater control or maybe even using stormwater as a source of water supply to increase water supply in some of the regions. So again, we essentially focus on water reuse, resource recovery systems, green infrastructure, sustainable urban drainage networks, and integrated urban planning and water management, essentially. So these are really the pillars of strategies that we pursue within the Institute. In addition to the physical technologies that you got a little bit of the sense of what type of technologies we work with, we also develop a lot of software packages. So we have colleagues here in local governments, state governments, and federal government agencies that work with us to develop software for integrated management. It could be data systems or computing. Increasingly, we are doing sensors, working with sensors, so from sensing to digital twins, to enable this concept of approaching water system as a holistic, integrated system rather than siloed approaches to water management. Judah mentioned that we also conduct some training activities, particularly with the Stormwater Center, but we are increasing those operations. We have some recent grants with our partners in the EPA Region 8 and other regions for small drinking water systems and wastewater treatment systems to provide technical assistance for those. So we're very grateful for Judah being here to spearhead those activities as well. So with that, I'm going to stop here and pass this to Sarah, who will talk about the facilities here. I just will mention that as we were developing the One Water Solutions Institute, this kind of happened at the same time that CSU got engaged with the National Western Center and with the structure essentially, and the City County of Denver to put this fantastic, I call it once in a lifetime opportunity to build something that we couldn't do as CSU professors in our main campus in Fort Collins. Things really came together to build this environment. The first time that a couple of years ago, I took a tour of the whole facilities, not just watershed, but with the greenhouse and the rooftop facilities that we have, really motivated us and also convinces me at least that these eco districts are really something that we can pursue. We can actually realize the concept of eco districts where we produce maybe food locally, we recover resources and use it right there to minimize not only impacts on the environment, but also reduce costs as well. So we are very grateful for this opportunity. As you can see, we have a pretty large group that work on this campus on different aspects of One Water Solutions, but Sarah will also introduce other buildings as well and the type of activities that are ongoing in other groups. So with that, She's also interested to be called the boss.
Not everyone knows that. There we go. I said bossy. There's a difference. All right, you changed my screen here. All right, so some of you got a little bit of a flavor of this already, but for our friends that are online, so CSU Spur campus consists of 3 different buildings. We've already talked a little bit about the hydro building, but I want to set the stage for what makes this a truly unique place. So this is all quite brand new. The Vita building, which focuses on health, was opened in January 2022. Next, the Terra building, which focuses on food and agricultural production, was opened in June 2022. And then Hydro, the water focus building, was opened in January 2023. So the campus is still pretty young. We're slowly growing out of startup mode and really starting to operationalize and gain traction in a wide variety of programs. There's over 55 programs in action here on campus. We are just one of them. As I mentioned to this group earlier, there is special programming the second Saturday of every month. So come back with your families, with your kiddos, and you'll get a very different flavor of what this campus is when it's fully activated. Every day is a little bit different here. Sometimes there's no parking and there's 7 events going on and 3 classes and 17 school field trips. So it can be very bustling, and it can also be a really quiet, lovely place to focus. So just a little context here in terms of the campus visibility. Even though I'm not an engineer, I do like numbers. I think they resonate well. So the emphasis here is really to demonstrate that this is not just a campus tucked away outside the heart of Denver. This is a highly visible area. So just in the last year, we've entertained over 100,000 visitors. We have had 9,600 littles here for school group and field trips. We actually do 2 homeschool days a year, so we get a ton of non-traditional students here on those visits as well. As you kind of were able to see a little bit as we walked from the roof into this building, there is a ton of event space. This building on the 4th floor of Hydro is really kind of the administrative heart of the campus. So it's where a lot of our office spaces are, conference rooms, classrooms, but the other buildings are equipped with classrooms, teaching labs, and other learning facilitation opportunities. Currently, we have almost 90 industry and government partners. A lot of them have been involved for the long haul, as Matt Dick alluded to. This campus is over 10 years in the making at this point. So the Hydro building in particular is very unique in its visibility and the partners that are here on site. So some of the unique building features, obviously the water tap is the coolest part of this building, and hopefully the folks online were able to check out the virtual tour so you can get a little behind the scenes of what we have down in the lab. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But we also have Denver Water on the 3rd floor. Their water quality testing lab takes up the entire 3rd floor. I think they have a long-term 50-year lease here. So we're really lucky to have our utility partners close by. They do tours as well. We just can't get you into that space. They don't want our badges to work in there. In addition, we also saw when we were walking into the lab, one of our learning laboratories, our teaching facilities. So we have labs in every building that are designed for teaching. Again, high visitation of what we call pre-K to gray. So we also have a lifelong learning institute here. I even have a tattoo that stands for lifelong learners. So we really embrace the knowledge sharing and innovation that happens across generations. Outdoor space, we'll talk a little bit more about the backyard. We were able to visit that. It also provides a really incredible education opportunity. You can actually, maybe later after we wrap up, if you look through the overlook, you'll get a different feel for the backyard. It's actually designed to represent the 4 major watersheds in Colorado. We have the Continental Divide trail that walks through it, and in the warmer seasons, you can actually turn on a water pump, and that pump feeds through the bioswales and rain gardens that are built in, and is a really great experiential way to talk to different groups about how water moves through our systems, how it is
shared among many users. The vegetation that's down there is actually reflective of not exclusively native plants, but climate adapted or native plants found in those primary ecotones. And then finally, the Hydro Building is also home to the largest event space on campus. So down on the first floor, if you come in the main entrance, off to the right is the Confluence Theater. It has retractable stadium seating. So that is our largest space here at Spur, but there is also massive amounts of space in the new Legacy Building. There's conference rooms and an entire equestrian arena that you can apparently rent if you need to. So the point here is that this campus is highly visible and it's highly engaged, and we are here to show research in action, work in the real world, and expose a wide variety of visitors to different careers that they might not have ever considered. So I'm gonna hand it over to
Sarah and Sarah Masek both have done a really good job kind of communicating here, is that this development of the Spur campus really was kind of the perfect coalescence of events to develop what I call my dream lab, which is water tap. I've done research on fit for purpose water, water reuse, and resource recovery from water sources for all of my career, and really like to work in the applied space. So I was super excited to have the opportunity of this space where we have this high bay space with all of these water sources coming together, where we can do plug and play testing of water systems, as you guys saw, and really potentially advance the field in this way and collaborate with industry and municipalities to push forward technologies. So really exciting opportunity. And then also added to that, the ability to have the backyard to look at nature-based solutions and everything that goes on in Terra, with being able to combine all of this with how we can use these water sources to grow plants, both agricultural and native vegetation, like some of you saw in the tour. Just really exciting space that allows us plug and play kind of testing. So really unique element is these different water sources. Those of you who are in the tour, I think, are already pretty familiar with these, but we have at least 5 available water sources on site. We have this tank that's available for off-site water sources, which now is highly treated produced water, but could be other sources as well. We have the graywater on site that sinks and showers that are on the 2nd floor. The roof above us that is flowing down into the water tap, 28-acre area that collects stormwater, and then we are right here by the South Platte, so potentially have access to raw water as well. So all of these water sources together give us this unique opportunity for plug and play kind of test bed systems. Like you've seen, we test both advanced treatment systems like UV or ultraviolet membrane systems, advanced oxidation, can do all of those kinds of things, but also have a huge focus on nature-based solutions, both in the indoor space of the water tap. You saw a lot of lights on top of things because we're growing plants and everything, and in our outdoor space as well. Really unique, I think, with this lab and our collaboration with MassDEC and the opportunities that brings is the data analytics and the potential to connect monitoring and sensing equipment to AI-enabled autonomous controlled water systems. So I think that this is a really important direction that the field is going, and with the software expertise that MassDEC and his team bring, we can really offer this kind of advancement. So expertise, I think we've kind of covered that already. Fit for purpose water reuse is a huge part of what we do. Water and wastewater treatment processes, stormwater and flood control, green infrastructure and nature-based solutions are a large part of what we do, but then also this data analytics to support the AI-enabled systems for autonomous control. So core team, you already met all of us. I'll skip beyond that. That's kind of the core team that manages everything. You've heard me talk a lot about Jennifer Buslow. She could not be here today, but that is her photo there. We collaborate with many faculty across campus. This slide highlights some of the faculty that we either have ongoing projects with or we've worked on with proposals. So they're directly currently working in water tap, but we work with many, many faculty across campus in different disciplines. And you can see here, forest and rangeland stewardship, several from soil and crop sciences, of course, a couple of us from civil environmental engineering, but we do work a lot with other faculty and other departments to really bring together the multidisciplinary research to advance these systems.
Thanks.
Okay, so we really think about ourselves, we have kind of 4 pillars as we think about it. Technology development and innovation, which if you went on the tour, that was the primary focus of that, or if you saw the tour online. But we also are working to develop a community of practice to really advance one water systems and fit for purpose water systems. We recognize there's a strong need to collaborate with industry and municipalities to bring that forward. So we really hope to build this community of practice that we can all learn from each other and also be able to advance this field and realize the benefits of one water systems. Workforce development, like with what Judah works on with the Stormwater Center, we really could envision expanding that and potentially even offering trainings for on-site water systems and trainings for graywater operations and things like that, that people can come here and there's systems here on site and that they can get trained on how to maintain these systems at these facilities. So I think we have a unique facility to make those kinds of offerings and envision expanding on what Judah's already built with the Stormwater Center and into other areas. And technical assistance, we just have expertise across water, wastewater, stormwater, all of these systems, as well as the data analytics piece that can provide expertise to support the industry. Okay, so building systems and infrastructure. Oh, shoot. So now that for anyone that wasn't on the tour, I just wanted to kind of show a couple of photos of the different systems. We've got our graywater system up at the top that treats graywater for use for toilet flushing, but we also divert, as we're doing right now, we're diverting almost all of that graywater for research. We collect the roof runoff and can do research with that. We have that stormwater system and that pumps both inside as well as outdoors. And then this is a picture of that 10,000 gallon tank getting filled up with the treated produced water and then access to that river water. So that's just kind of pictures of some of the systems in case people weren't, especially online, weren't able to see the tour. Backyard here, I think, is a huge asset. I see huge connectivity between what we do inside at the water tap with the high bay space and what can happen in the outdoor space to be able to test green infrastructure and nature-based solutions and all of these kinds of things and connect our water sources to the outdoor uses. Okay, so what makes water tap unique? Real world water sources is really important, I think. The piloting capacity and the ability to demonstrate systems. And I think a really important thing here is that we can challenge systems in this environment because the water's not going to an end use that's important. Or, you know, if we discharge to wastewater, if we have a really hazardous water that we test, we might have to work with haz waste management to dispose of that. But we can challenge systems with pathogens, contaminants like PFAS and others, and be able to test how they perform in those kind of out of norm situations. So I think that that's a really unique element that we offer. Technical and digital expertise, the machine learning piece of this, neutral university governance. So we will always be operating as a nonprofit. We seek always at the university to provide a unbiased perspective and unbiased data collection that can support the industry. So that's a really important piece of what we bring here. Development of this community of practice and then workforce and student engagement. So community of practice. Like we've alluded to, we really see ourselves serving a large group of entities, water utilities, engineering consultants, technology vendors and especially like startups and entrepreneurs. So companies who might have an idea, a great idea about a technology that they want to test. We can bring that into our lab and we have, again, this plug and play kind of capability to test that with real water sources with ease. See a lot of collaboration with industry, which we have already, and then research and academics is always part of the group. So we have a large number of partners, collaborators, and sponsors that we are currently working with. So these are all universities we've worked with, utilities that we've worked with, and funding agencies that we've received funding from. So there's really two ways to engage at a higher level with water tap in our activities. We'll always have information and always welcome tours and all of these kinds of things through our regular activities. But if you are seeking to have a higher level of engagement with water tap and what we do here, we have both memberships and projects. The memberships really are a way to kind of inform the activities that we do at Water Tap and kind of within OWSE as well. This is really a pathway for those that are interested in kind of a long-term partnership to help us to develop this lab in the best way. We envisioned, designed this lab to meet the needs of industry and municipalities. We were not trying to just do more academic research. We could do that at our Fort Collins campus. We really wanted to engage with people like you guys. And so we are really wanting to, have a community of practice that we listen to that informs the research directions that we take and kind of what are the pathways and what are the needs that we can help solve problems for the water industry. Oh, projects is the other one. While I would love to do projects for free for everyone, because I love it, I really would love that. But unfortunately, it takes a lot of infrastructure to get these water to the places that it has to go. It also takes money to to maintain the systems and to fund our staff that help keep all of these systems going. So we kind of have a square footage price for individual projects. So they really are based on square footage. So if you have a smaller project, it costs less, and if it's more, it costs. If it takes up more square footage, it costs more. But that provides really like this flexible, low commitment access to lab testing. You could have a project that you do for 2 months or even a month, or it could be a 3-year project, and you can add on to your project analytics, student support, our technical expertise. All of these things are kind of a la carte menu options that you can add to a project depending on what you're seeking. So that's kind of what this could look like. You saw, those of you that were on the tour downstairs saw these 2 projects. So I think these give a good example. This was that EcoWare system that you guys looked at. That is kind of the smaller scale kind of project. That one takes up about 5% of the lab, and baseline costs would be about $1,500 per month to run experiments with that. Now, if you wanted to add analytics and maybe more maintenance time from our staff, then those are all added on. You can also have the option to bring in your own staff. If you're a company that has your own staff that you would like to have working in our lab, those arrangements can be made as well. So really flexible in terms of how we can work these things out. That minus system, which was in that large trailer bin, container, is 250 foot square, takes up about 25% of the lab. That one runs higher, 50,732 per month. And that's not just size, that has to do with like the logistics for supplying the amount of water for a project at that scale and all of the things about keeping that operational. Okay, so I would like to point out that either membership or CSU collaborations, if you bring in any CSU PI or investigator, then that comes at a lower cost for the project. These costs assume either that you're a member or that you're working with a Colorado State University investigator on the project. There are a little bit higher project costs, and those are all the materials that Sarah has provided. Okay, I'm gonna pass it back to Matt, so I can talk about member benefits.
Thank you. So again, I just want to highlight that as we kind of envision the place for building this lab, this is a different model. We didn't want to build a lab or pursue some activities that we build something and then we'll go try to figure out who the clients are. The whole business model of the lab is to build partnerships, identify directions for the type of systems that we want to investigate or to build and develop and innovate. This concept of applied research and innovation. And obviously, to achieve a vision like that, you need to, of course, have the capacity to build partnerships. And membership models are commonly used for building partnerships. So the whole idea of the membership model for the water tap is to bring partners that not only can be aware of what's going on, but also influence the direction of where water tap is going. This could be short-term, mid-term, or long-term. So, some of you may be from utilities and want to have some specific kind of directions for the lab because maybe technologies are important in that regard, or even in institutional agreements and policy and regulations. Obviously, in this particular area in Colorado, we have a lot of agricultural communities. They may be interested to apply some of these technologies and treatment facilities, concept of fit for purpose for agriculture. How does that look like? And how does that influences our future in terms of the place that we live? But of course, this applies to other locations with a different sets of problems. Our membership model has been designed to achieve the benefits that Sewell already described, to build the strategic partnerships with groups that can direct where we are going and how we can build it. I also want to, again, emphasize one thing that Sewell said. What we have heard from a lot of the partners is that this is one of the very few places that we have a pilot scale that, Sewell referred to it as a mid-scale facility, but really a place that you can work with actual real-world water systems and do a lot with it without being worried about, how we're influencing the users or people who are, customers of that utility or things like that. So this environment is very unique in that we can do a lot of experimentation and innovation. There is no limit essentially for us. If the need is there, we can do that. Again, of course, there are a lot of industrial pilots, but typically those pilots with communities, you have limited capacity and flexibility to influence the end product and to go from there. So again, our hope is that with our memberships, we can direct the type of activities in the lab and the broader concept of I develop software. So even in that regard, what type of software technologies we need. Maybe it's linked with sensing and sensors, but also increasingly people are investing in digital twins and analytics that enable this integrated management. Testing and validation obviously is a significant part of the way that the lab is being put together. The idea here is that it's very difficult, particularly for startup companies or smaller companies, to build this environment on their own to test their innovation, specific innovation. Somebody may come up with a very nice, smaller module for water treatment or whatever. They just want to test it. So this facility allows that kind of effort with this concept of plug and play test beds. We are hoping that the members of the water tap can get access to a variety of programs that are under the umbrella of workforce development, whether it's getting access to student bodies or internships or things like that, that we can get engaged, whether it's via direct projects or just having our members come present at the university environments, not just at CSU, but with many partners that we have. Again, a part of the benefits of these efforts that we have done is that we work with more than 20 academic institutions and other institutions from Princeton to Berkeley and almost everybody in between. So we can arrange a lot of this type of access to different talent pools, which is obviously very important for industrial partners. But beyond that, also workforce development involves technical assistance, educational activities, and certification programs. As a part of this concept of One Water, we've heard from many groups that, as we implement One Water, how do people get promoted in utility environment or in a local government environment? Everybody has their own ways of growing. So all of these things become a benefit of being a part of this community of practice through which we learn how to develop the workforce and then retain the workforce and continually educate them towards the intended goals of this One Water programs. Visibility is a part of this. We are here, as Several mentioned, as a nonprofit organization to do good, hopefully to do good. So being a part of this entity that hopefully becomes increasingly successful brings recognition. This particular place is highly visible. With the stock show, I don't know statistics of this, but often we get up to 1 million people coming during the stock show events to visit the campus. So again, by saying visibility, there are a lot of ways that companies and entities can be recognized for their partnerships in a variety of programs at Spur, but in this case with the water tap program. So the membership model will enable this recognition concepts particularly for private sector and nonprofits as well, that they are part of this bigger entity. And then obviously, like any other applied innovation center, this concept of access to IP or technology disclosures, early access to the ideas for those entities that are interested in technology development, and then perhaps disclosure and, if relevant, IP. This is our membership model enables those kind of processes, and we have different levels of membership. So with the materials that Sewell and Sarah can provide, you can see how this is put together. Again, as I said, there are different ways of making our members recognized in this kind of environment that we are putting together. This is an example of ways that we're thinking about making the companies who are participating with us more visible and being recognized for their participation, whether it's membership driven or maybe even with some of the projects that are highly visible and impactful in solving some societal problems. That's a good way of going forward. So again, we are hoping that not just with this one membership drive or tour and gathering together, but with the way that we'll stay in touch and stay engaged, we can bring our local governments, state governments, federal government, not just in Colorado, but across the country. And then, of course, the bigger or another really important way of thinking this success for us as the One Water Solutions Institute and CSU Water Tap and CSU Spur is, can we really build these partnerships that are enduring and long-standing? That's not a trivial thing to do. Many of you guys have done this, have tried to do this. Partnerships are hard. They come with a lot of hard work. They require trust and a lot of skin in the game, but also clear benefits that people are getting out. So we are here to learn. Again, we don't know all of the elements of a successful partnerships in this kind of environment. I don't think there is any group that really has figured this out. So we are here to learn. If there are ideas that would allow people to say, if the lab provides these kind of opportunities, we would be interested to become a member. So we are all ears to get your feedback and ultimately build this membership or bring you as members and build these partnerships together. Okay, so
There's some more stuff there.
okay,
But
so
I don't know. We do it in
yeah, I just want to be respectful of the time for
Yeah,
everybody.
let's do
But
that.
again, as you can see here, there are different ways that we're going to stay engaged and stay in touch to build this community of practice, including our members. We will have annual meetings that will be conducted on a regular basis, or maybe even sometimes if needed, we can increase the frequency to make sure this community practice. There are so many professional societies that everybody is participating in. We don't want to add to the number of type of events that we want to go, but maybe sometimes aligning our annual meetings in some of those professional societies and things like that. So we are very careful about that. We want to make it work for everybody. Maybe one year we have our annual meeting at a web conference or reuse conferences or things like that. We'll have regular board meetings, and during board meetings, again, there are specific agenda that we pursue. It's advisory councils, quarterly updates. Do we send quarterly updates already, or?
We will.
We will. And then student engagement. Again, as I mentioned, one of the things that we are going to do is, because we've heard from a lot of our partners that they want to get in front of the students, work with students to see what kind of talent is, what people are learning, how they can engage with the students for recruitment, whether it's internships or externships, longer term projects, senior design projects, and things like that. So we will provide those opportunities for engaging with students. And again, not just CSU, obviously we'll start with CSU, but we'll expand to other partner academic and non-academic institutions that we work. So with that, I'm just going to stop here again to be.
I think we should go to Sarah's things at the end because there's some QR codes. Yeah, Sarah, do we need to do that?
Yes, well,
You're the boss.
no, bossy, 2 syllables. So along with that, I think it's really important to recognize our first founding members. We have a couple in the room here and hopefully a few more coming. So thank you, Metro Water Recovery and Denver Department of Public Health. They are our founding silver and bronze members. We also are seeking additional memberships. So there are open spots. These are not a single slot, just wanting to make sure that folks know there's a wide variety of benefits associated with getting on board early. We are really just rolling this out today, essentially. We've had some one-on-one conversations, but we are really going to start to see some momentum, hopefully, moving forward. Sybil and I will be at Water Reuse next weekend. It starts. So hopefully get in touch with folks there. And then I was on the Colorado chapter call today. So again, we're really trying to leverage existing efforts to help bring more attention to what we have going on here. I have plenty of content and material I'm happy to share with folks that are interested. This is a broad snapshot of our different levels and associated benefits with that. You can scan the code to learn more, or just get in touch with me. I am happy to share information. It is my job to make collaboration easy and facilitate these partnerships, whether it be through memberships or projects. You all will receive a link to a survey at the end. It's an engagement survey to try and determine what our preferred methods, frequency, delivery options for engagement to continue to build this community of practice. So y'all should have my email because I sent a couple, but my cards are on the table, and there's some information there that you're welcome to take with you, but we are here to help. We look forward to working with all of you and hoping that you can help spread the good word about what you saw and experienced here today and moving forward.
And feedback too, obviously.
Yeah. Absolutely. Any questions? I need to kind of monitor. I can't see the chat, so maybe I'll come up here and come up there. If you want this next slide, those are different ways that you can get engaged. Little do you know, you are already subscribed to our newsletter as of this morning, so you don't need to sign up for it. But we are strategic on our social media. So I stick primarily with LinkedIn. And then we obviously also have a website with plenty of content. Great, yes.
Thank you so much, Sybil and Sarah, for the tour earlier. Denver Department of Public Health and Environment, proud of you, founding member here. One thing that if you've been following what's going on in the news, data centers. In fact, there was a very high energy meeting on Tuesday because, for example, the first phase of the core site data center, 275,000 gallons of water every day.
Yeah.
And so can you speak to CSU TAP, sort of any engagement in that space, opportunities?
Yeah, this is a space that we are really looking at, and I think Judah is not here anymore.
Yeah, he had to get on a.
Okay, that's okay. He attended a meeting here about there's a data center coming in close in this GS community. So he attended a community meeting on that project, and this is something we've been working through Owsey and our activities here at Spur to kind of coalesce a group of researchers that are interested and able to provide solutions on this topic. I think this is a huge thing moving forward with both energy use, water use, potentially pollution. So we are kind of getting together experts to be able to respond to RFPs that come out or issues and problems that come out in this area. I think it's really important. I think MassDEC has some ideas for water. You want to talk about the?
Yes, this is obviously it's a very interesting topic, a lot of concern about data centers, and a very, very good question. You're actually actively working on a project to develop Colorado-centric considerations for data centers, how to think about data centers and impacts on energy demand and water. And I don't want to go to all of the technical aspects, but the cooling system is really the part that requires a lot of water consumption. And there's a strong argument that in Colorado, we don't need wet cooling. So a lot of people who are doing the analysis with the thermodynamic modeling and energy modeling, they're discussing because our average temperatures are below 50 degrees Fahrenheit on an annual basis, there are a lot of nice ways to reduce the water footprints of data centers. Again, at least in Colorado, every state is different, things like that. We had a project and continue to have a project with Colorado Water Conservation Board, where the software referred to as Polaris reconciles water consumption with zoning and land use activities to characterize, how different activities within a city influence water consumption, and then using those relationships and machine learning, we then forecast in future for scenarios such as, what are the differences of growing out or greenfield development or growing denser with higher intensity development, things like that. So we are going to add, hopefully, a data center module to the Polaris tool that you can say, a data center is being proposed and they are going to have wet cooling or dry cooling or somewhere in between. So that's where we're going. This is a very important topic that we are actively working on. And we have a great group of researchers from our mechanical engineering and other partners that we are actively discussing how to add that module to the Polaris toolkit.
I think there's a lot of opportunities to use alternative water sources and figure out ways to reuse water within these facilities. And I'd like to see WaterTap have a role in that.
Actually, this is a great point I forgot to mention is that because of the nature of how Colorado's weather works, we may not need a year-round water supply for this data center. Maybe water fit for purpose, water reuse concept are actually great fits for this specific purpose. Okay, because of the nature of intermittent need for wet cooling, maybe with this data center. So we're reconciling all of these models to be able to first characterize their demand for different cooling systems, and then are there ways to tap into water reuse as a way of reducing the broader implications of water centers for water supply systems, which are already strained because of just community growth and population growth.
So just a quick follow-up then. So folks probably know this is all public information. So on Monday of this week, the city did lay out a moratorium on any new data centers.
I heard that.
We'll be very quickly moving to what are the opportunities, air quality, water quality, energy in ways.
What does that mean for this data center that's going in
Well,
already?
this is the one I referred to. So this is core site that's just about half
Yep.
a dozen blocks east of here. That was the one that drew about 500 people to the meeting
Yep.
on Tuesday. Who's an ideal point of contact? Because I would really like to start this conversation tomorrow, if I may.
Yeah, Sarah's our point of contact. She will get together the right people to address issues. And we've already been working, we got a group, how many faculty from CSU joined? I think it
There's
was,
about 20 people on that.
yeah.
that call.
We just kind of put out a call for people that are interested in this topic at CSU and kind of organize them all together. And people kind of wrote up what are the areas that they can contribute to. So we've been trying to work ahead of this problem because we know it's coming.
I
And
would
if
love to have you engaged in that process. So if you have your business card, I would like to have one
Yeah, we go way back.
to get to at least let you know where we're going with these ideas, some ideas, and again, learn from your insights and other concerns that other, people are expressing to make sure that the direction we are going is at least informed by those considerations.
Thank you, appreciate it.
And I do want to just pause as a non-engineer to say that this working group that we've assembled is very much including Dr. Elizabeth Ryan on the health side, sociologists, the social equity, all of that is part of this conversation. So our working group is not an engineer exclusive group.
I think we can ask about that because there's such a big social justice issue here as well.
And we have,
Dominant position. It is very holistic.
James Hale here on the Spur campus is really working on that. He does a lot of work with the community and social aspects. And so we've got a whole team assembled already, kind of working on these different aspects of data centers.
Very timely.
Yeah.
You're actively working on it. We would love to get you engaged if you're available and interested.
Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you. Sarah, do we have any questions online?
I haven't seen anything in the chat, but our friends online, feel free to either raise your hand or
Anyone in the room then?
pop a question in the chat.
I'd like to share some expertise on water reuse.
Yeah.
I installed a system in Calgary, Canada, in a beef plant that
Oh.
lost their water rights. We were reusing 750,000 gallons of water a day.
We'll give you a minute. You can work that out.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Anyway, it was a huge factor. We were reclaiming 5 process boilers, the heat off those. We reduced our output to 7%. Like I say, the technology is there.
The technology is there to do whatever we need to do at this point.
Yes.
And it's all about just getting the right fit, and policy is a huge part of that as well.
So we were making better water than the county.
Yep. I worked with a dairy here in Colorado that did a pilot scale water reuse project where they were taking their dairy flush water and recovering it to very high quality water, not quite drinking water quality, but they had some membrane treatment processes and things in place. I think that agriculture water use is in the animal production areas is a really big thing, and because the water footprint right now is very high for meat and dairy production, and I think we can do a lot better. Thank you for sharing about that. We'd love to hear. We'll get in touch further. Yeah.
You want? Yes. No.
All right. I have an intellectual property question. Just with the pilot studies and the collaboration, how are you handling that? Do you have?
Yeah, so CSU has a lot of procedures in place already for how we handle IP. And those are worked out on a contract by contract basis. There are projects that we have data sharing agreements, for example, in place. I think you've heard me several times today, as I talked about projects, I have NDAs with several of the people on these projects that I can't mention certain things about the project. So we have really great processes in place for data sharing, non-disclosure agreements, and then IP and how we can co-develop that IP and how we manage that moving forward. And that's all typically worked out in the the contracting phase of a project, not as an afterthought. It's very thoughtful, and there's a large team at CSU that kind of handles that. Sarah, Nathan?
Yeah.
I'm not the point of contact for that.
The very simple version of the IP with CSU is that what you do as a partner, you own it.
Yeah.
Again, obviously there are nuances and specifics to discuss. You can negotiate a whole bunch of stuff in a master research agreement or project by project basis. But the umbrella concept is that in a partnership, whatever you're doing, you will own that IP. Now you can acquire additional CSU IP that comes out of CSU as a partner, and perhaps early access to that becomes attractive for some partners. But this should not, there is no impediment for other, for memberships and partnerships, because based on my experience, I do have my own company, so I am very familiar with these concepts. Essentially what you bring to the table and the innovation that you essentially add to the project or to the partnership, you own it. And that makes it very attractive in that regard. And then you can transfer, whether it's a license or IP for the rest of the project, with well-established processes, and CSU has offices that execute those kind of things. So Strata is previously known as CSERV, is the entity that executes the concept.
Oh, that sounds pretty formal and standard. I guess a related question is, as the municipal representatives, I write down a new research idea every time I think about this. But there's kind of like two buckets of, research that helps inform regulation and policy, and then research that is developed into a product or service.
Yes.
Is there a priority in one bucket or the other?
We are interested in all projects related to advancing water systems. We are interested in projects that advance policy and projects that advance technology. Ultimately, we want to move the dial on one water systems and fit for purpose water systems. And that means engaging in all of those research topics. And again, we have a large teaming capacity across CSU outside of engineering that we partner with.
Again, that's a beautiful question. Thank you for asking that. Three things I'll add. First is that the mission of WaterTap and the One Water Solutions Institute in general is to focus on efforts that maximize scaling solutions. And what we've learned, and Seoul has been involved with Blue Ribbon panels and many, by the way, we are married, so there's nothing weird going on. So we've heard, and again, I've heard it because of the sales engagement and also projects that I've been involved, regulations and kind of the regulatory frameworks and institutional agreements and programs and real-time sensing seems to be where on-site water systems need a lot of push. So again, of course, we're going to be open to all of these ideas, but where we get the biggest bang for our buck, where we can essentially bring some of these innovations, applied innovation. This is not really focused on forensic science or advancing, cutting edge stuff. It's just how do we bring some of these technologies that in some cases the technology is there, but enable scaling those technologies, whether it's certifying these systems or collecting data for public health policy making and things like that. So what you're mentioning is in fact a very good kind of impetus for us to build partnerships, because you get a lot of growth in adoption and scaling of these technologies if you figure out the regulatory framework for that, which may need on-site sensing and observations kind of systems, because the systems don't necessarily have a management group for those. The second thing I mentioned is that the whole idea of having a membership model that enables us to figure out what the priorities are is because, again, we don't want to set those priorities. We want to learn from what the members want and how we should arrange our operations, what should be our priority, because you can't do everything, obviously, right? So that's the second part that hopefully kind of makes why we are interested in membership models really clear, because we don't want to direct everything based on academic research points of views. We want to learn from industrial partners, figure out where we should be going in that regard. And the third element is that, again, we want to also collect those research ideas that you're talking about, find overlaps between them, and then figure out where the innovation gaps are. Not because of academic research, but because our industry partners are kind of highlighting those research questions that are probably related mostly to our operations or some sort of a process improvement for different conditions. So we can bring them together, synthesize those, and develop some applied research and innovation programs. Did I say anything so?
Nope, but that's just really where our board can help us.
Yeah.
I think we need to close out, don't we?
Well, Jen is to ask. Jen was my classmate at Purdue. I had just immigrated from Iran, and these wonderful people at Purdue were just ask a question. So,
Oh, all
I'm
right.
putting you on the spot, Jen.
Well, I'll ask that an easy one. If we don't use Denver Water's water quality lab space, do you have your own water quality lab
Oh,
space?
this
that
is
we
a
can
good
use?
question.
We didn't see that.
Yes, that's true. So this facility, CSU is very clear that we were not to duplicate Fort Collins capabilities here. So Fort Collins campus is very well equipped with a lot of great analytical chemistry labs. I have a great general water quality testing laboratory there. We have several what we call core facilities that do testing for us. We do have across the street the soil plant water lab. So basically, to answer your question, is that our water quality analyses are really still happening at the Fort Collins campus. We do filtration, sample preparations, get things in coolers and take it there because we wanted to use this space wisely and not duplicate all of the labs we already have at Fort Collins.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the logistics are a part of what we can arrange,
Yes.
For any type of testing of water quality.
Yep.
Lab work. But there's a biotech lab here. That's for teaching purposes.
It is, and that's where we do our filtrations and sample preparations, but we're not adding high-cost analytical instrumentation here that we already have at Fort Collins. Those instruments cost, $600,000. And yeah. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, everyone. We really appreciated your coming here today and spending some time to learn about what we're doing, and always appreciate the interaction because, like we said, we really are seeking to develop this community of practice that we can work with to solve problems that are relevant to the industry.
Yeah, and again, although the scope of what we do is national or maybe even global in that sense, our focus is really to build something relevant to Colorado and our region. So there are other innovation hubs with regard to water innovation. We're hoping that this becomes a place for place for solving problems that confront Colorado, maybe semi-arid western kind of states. Okay, so that's our focus. That's going to be a part of prioritization because there are other entities that do similar type of concept, but they tend to serve their region. And hopefully we can build together. Again, we want to emphasize this. We recognize the value of partnerships. We've worked with so many of you guys over the years, continue to do that. This is an entity that hopefully can come together by building those memberships or partnerships and going forward. Whatever mechanism enables us to do that. So let us know how we can do better, how you see this particular lab can contribute to solving water security issues, challenges in Colorado and our neighboring states perhaps, because they probably deal with the same type of problem.
Please complete the survey that Sarah's going to send because that's going to help us to design our events to be useful for you guys. This is what we want to do. Thank you.
Everybody.
Very easy.